All right, yo, everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to Fast Break. It's been a minute. We have not recorded an
two
episode
weeks.
in 2 weeks. And the reason for that, just school, man. We've both been busy. And
Yeah.
it's been hard to lock down a schedule, which is why Jordan's not here with us right now. It's been hard, man. So we're trying to get out more content as the weeks go on, but we're busy. But we're here with you now. That's all that matters, I feel like. And of course, we're here to discuss one thing primarily, but we're gonna branch into just the NBA in general. We're here to talk about
Yeah.
NBA preseason with y'all. We are really excited. Basketball is back, man. Where do we even start? There's already been a lot of preseason action. I've watched a bunch of games. I'm sure you have too.
Yeah.
Where do we start? What's the main thing? What are we thinking first?
Well, first we have to define what we look for in the preseason. So
Mhm.
or do we really care about wins and losses in the preseason, or is it more like to see what the players look like, how fresh they look off of the break that is the off season? So what do you define as a preseason? Like how important do you think it is?
I mean, I think the preseason is really a time for like a lot of young guys
Yeah.
to get minutes and stuff. And like we saw with a lot of guys, there's a bunch of role players who have been making big names for themselves. There's a couple that I've seen. I'm sure there's a bunch that you've seen as well. I feel like it's the times for the stars of these teams. They don't necessarily play 100%. This is where you see a lot of the role players, a lot of the young guys get
Mhm.
a lot of touches and stuff. So that's really what I've been looking for. I don't really look at wins and losses because teams aren't really going
Yeah.
100%. We know this. But it's definitely a good indicator of how teams are looking. Some teams are looking like midseason form, other teams not so much. We'll talk about some of those
Yeah.
teams. What about for you? What are you eyeing up this postseason or
Um,
preseason?
similar to similar to you, I think it's more about the young guys, like guys that really haven't had a chance to show themselves. I kind of think of it as a little more valuable summer league because the starters do play, but the young guys obviously get the bulk of the minutes. I think, especially coming from a Celtics fan, I think when you have a first year coach, it is pretty important, especially as a fan. You want to see the rotations that they're going to run, what the different lineups they put out, and just the overall minutes that each player gets. But you can't really take you. I mean, some people you can see the Lakers; they're just not trying.
Yeah,
Frank Vogel doesn't want to risk any of his guys getting injured. But you see teams like the Bulls who look like they are
midseason
playing
form.
game 50 out of 82. So
Right.
it's very interesting to see where different teams are at. So where do we want to start here?
I mean, I think we should start with maybe some individual players because
Okay.
obviously, I mean, you just named the Bulls. We can get more into them later.
Yeah.
There's been a bunch of great teams, but individual players, because I feel like this is the time when these players are really coming in their own. Is there any guys who you're really looking forward to? I know there's a couple obvious ones. Who's really caught your attention?
I'm gonna go Cam Thomas off the bat. I know you like Cam Thomas.
Yes,
The
sir.
Nets are just well, Kyrie. We can get into that. He might not play home games. I don't even know what's going on there. But Cam Thomas, the Nets, they needed some depth, and they got it with a guy who they got at the end of the first round. I believe that was inquired in the Javon Carter trade. I could be wrong about that. Um,
I have no
we can
idea.
fact we can fact
We'll
check
be
us on
fact
that.
checked.
But Cam Thomas is a guy. First of all, his hustle is off the charts. He only played 1 year at LSU. He was not very efficient, but he could score the ball, and he's looked very good in preseason. He can get a shot, very clutch. He hit a couple daggers to seal the Bucks. I know, and if he can get hot off the bench like a Jamal Crawford or Jordan Clarkson, that's the last thing the NBA needs. Where the Nets are already probably one of the favorites, either them or the Lakers. So I think Cam Thomas, in addition to Kevin Durant and James Harden, that's a scary sight.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, Cam Thomas was like the first guy who caught my attention in that
Mhm.
Lakers Nets Sunday special, the first game of the preseason. I really liked him. He dropped 21 or around 20 like that. And my take on him is I don't think he's obviously going to be a key starter on that team. Like
Yeah.
you can't really expect that out of him, but a rotational piece for sure. And the reason that I really like him, and I think he's going to work his way into the rotation, is because he takes a ton of shots. He makes the most of his minutes, which I really like. He's a really good shot hunter. He hustles, and that's what you want out of a guy like him.
Mhm.
Another guy I want to talk about, he's not a rookie. Me and you are very familiar with him as Celtics fans, and I wrote some things down about him. But Javonte Green, man, I watched him
Oh,
in the Bulls' first preseason game against the Cavaliers. It was a 40-point win, I believe, or they were up 40. Javonte Green, it was the Javonte Green show very early on. He had like 3 steals, 2 blocks in just the first quarter. It was nuts, man. And I really like him a lot because I think that number one, he can play and guard the 1 through 4 positions. So he's very versatile. You can play him at a lot of different roles, which is very important with this Bulls team. They need to be versatile, and that's how they're going to win games. But he also hustles. This team is also, in my opinion, I believe they're going to rely a lot on pace of play and transition buckets.
Yes.
And that's what he does. So he fits that to a T. Is he going to be a guy who's averaging like double digits? Probably not, but he's going to be the hustle dude. He's going to be the kind of guy whose impact shows up not on the stat sheet, but just overall on the floor. If you watch these games, you know what I'm talking about. Javonte Green, big impact guy.
Yeah, speaking of Javonte Green, the Nets obviously don't play as fast as the Bulls are probably going to play. I kind of think of him as a Bruce Brown type, where, like you said,
that's a good comparison.
If you look at Javonte Green, he's not gonna get 15 or 20 points, but he literally does all the small things. He's a high energy guy, especially with Zoe at the one. He can run the floor. He's going to be putting down some dunks. And Chicago really hasn't seen a team like this in a while, so I'm super excited for them. Javonte Green, I wish we kept him now. I do.
Yeah. I feel like we didn't use him right, but there was a couple games last year where I believe he was playing some power forward for us. Underappreciated guy, because I did not like him that much when I was a Celtics fan, but watching him now, I regret losing him. Good hustle guy. Another dude I want to talk about, similarly along the lines of Cam Thomas. I'm not sure if you picked up on him or watched much of him, but Jordan Nwora, big preseason so far, shooting 50% from the field, 50% from three, had a 30-pointer, and was pretty big in the closeout game against the Nets. The Nets did come out with the win, but Jordan Nwora was still looking pretty good. What are your thoughts on him? Kind of a similar Cam Thomas situation, but what are your thoughts?
I'm familiar from his days at Louisville. He's a guy that can get buckets. There's no doubt about it. Obviously, when you have Giannis, Drew, Chris, similar like Cam Thomas, he's not going to get the touches, but he can be a rotational guy off the bench. They lost PJ Tucker and guys like that. So I think they are going to need a wing guy that can give them buckets to play decent defense. I think Jordan Nwora does that. He's a pretty good shooter for his size, I believe. And I'm looking forward to what I see from Jordan Nwora for the Bucks.
Now, is there anybody that you didn't like in this preseason? There was definitely one guy who caught my attention. He's a rookie, but is there anybody who you were not too fond
of? You put me on the spot. Can you bring up your guy first, and I'm gonna think of my guy off the dome.
I would love to bring up my guy because I know. Look, it's based off one game, all right.
Yeah.
But Jalen Suggs against the Boston Celtics.
We can vote. Yeah.
Yeah, he played pretty poorly. The finishing was terrible. He was not really doing that well as a scorer. He did have 4 blocks, but then he also almost fouled out. So, I mean, I'm not going to say it cancels out, but when you look at the defense, he was guarding a guy like Marcus Smart, a guy who doesn't really create for himself off the dribble. And Marcus Smart was cooking him on a couple
defensively,
plays.
He was absolutely atrocious.
Agreed.
We saw the tweet from NBA Central. They said Jalen Suggs has arrived. I believe he was shooting 2 of 9 at the time. So I'm not really sure what they meant when they said he arrived.
Yeah. I mean, and then you had a guy like Cole Anthony off the bench who was just absolutely cooking. If the Magic, I mean, I'm sure they're not trying to win games this year, but they need to be starting Cole Anthony over Jalen Suggs. I feel like it's just kind of what needs to happen.
We're gonna go in another weird case. We're just spitting out names and talking about it. This is pretty fun. Sekou Doumbouya. It's very bizarre what has happened to him. The Pistons traded him the Nets. The Nets didn't want him, so they traded him the Rockets. And the Rockets literally just dropped him. So, not the most notable name, but is there any home for him, or is he's just done? Because he was a first rounder, so
he was, and he was a lottery pick, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. See, the thing is, if you're not getting time in Detroit, that's kind of bad. And the thing is, I mean, nobody really watched Detroit basketball. I don't know a ton about him. I do know that he's kind of like a lanky BI KD type. I believe not the strongest shooter, but he still has a lot of potential. But it's just tough, man. If you can't get PT in a place like Houston or Detroit, I mean, it's looking bad. So, I mean, best case scenario, in my opinion, for him, play overseas, come back, try again in a few years. He's raw. I think he's definitely a raw prospect. Didn't get to prove himself. It's disappointing though, and that when they waived him, that was definitely surprising.
Yeah, and we are going to stick on the Rockets again. This is one game, but I did believe Jalen Green went 4-14, and of course he's a second overall pick. So is this something to worry about, or is this just a little bit of rookie jitters and he'll be fine?
Yeah, I would say probably rookie jitters. I think a lot of these guys, Suggs, I know Mobley didn't have the best game when I watched. A lot of these guys probably just rookie jitters. I don't think it's anything to worry about. This is not summer league anymore. You're getting to play with, the professionals and stuff. So I would say Jalen Green showed out in the summer league. I think he's going to be
Yeah,
just fine. Still my rookie of the year.
me too. Nuggets. I want to talk about someone. I don't know if you're familiar with this name, Bones Highland. First of all, that's an absolute great name. I liked what I saw from Bones Highland, especially with Jamal Murray. I kind of forgot about this. He is out with a torn ACL for
Yeah.
some of the year. So Facu and maybe Bones Highland are going to get some backcourt minutes. Very aggressive, taking the rim. His handle is absolutely insane for a rookie at a VCU. What are you expecting from him? And have you watched a lot of him? Because he's kind of came out of nowhere.
I'm going to be honest. I have not watched any Nuggets
Okay.
preseason. I'm not going to fake and act like I have. Past couple days, it's been busy for me. I have not been able to. However, the Nuggets, interesting team. And I think that any point guard right now has a shot because if we remember correctly, they were playing against the Suns and the Portland Trailblazers in last year's playoffs with Facu and Austin Rivers in the backcourt. Not very good defensively. Damian Lillard was torching them. Booker was torching them, of course. Chris Paul. Like, they need defense. I'm not too familiar with Bones Highland's game. I do know that he's on the roster. I was looking at the roster earlier for something else I'm cooking up, but I don't know. I'm just gonna say this. I think that the Nuggets, just outside of individual players, I think that they're gonna be the second seed, even without Jamal Murray. That's all I'm saying.
Is that behind the Lakers?
Yes, I think the Lakers will be number one. It's hard to imagine a world where the Lakers are not number one, especially, and this is another guy we can talk about preseason.
Okay.
Malik Monk, 2 games, he's gone off. He's been amazing.
Yes.
Thoughts on Malik Monk?
Well, Malik Monk, when they signed, we kind of knew what he was and the purpose of Malik Monk. He's always been around 40% shooter, and the Lakers really struggled from 3 last year. But Malik Monk's really been in his bag in the first 2 preseason games. I've liked what I've seen from him. He's playing with confidence. Obviously, when you're going to play with LeBron, AD, and Russ, that's going to go down. You're not going to get as many touches. But if he can make a shot, and honestly, when some of those guys come off the court, if he can get buckets, then I think the Lakers are going to be definitely number 1 in the West. Malik Monk kind of had a resurgence a bit last year in Charlotte, and he got to play with LeBron James, and he's going to be contributing to a ring. So good for him.
I mean, I think, I agree with you. I didn't realize how much he could create off the dribble. It's very interesting for me. I know he was injured a lot last year, so we didn't get to see him a ton, but very interesting stuff from Malik Monk. Any other topics to talk about in today's episode?
Yeah, we do. I have some call him the Bubble Guppy, Tyler Hero, Bubble Boy. Very interesting. I don't think either of us are biggest Tyler Hero fans, but he has gone 20 in 3 games. He has 20 in all 3. His efficiencies are up. Now, granted, he's not playing with guys. Jimmy's not getting minutes. Bam's not getting minutes. Larry's not getting minutes. He's playing with Max Strauss and some other scrubs out there. So what do we expect from Tyler Hero this year? Because he had a good first year in the bubble, especially. He was down last year. Will he make the 3rd-year jump people are wanting to see or no?
I say no because I think Kyle Lowry is like a legitimate actual 3rd star. You're not playing with Goran Dragic anymore. As good as Dragic was, you're playing with Kyle Lowry, proven star, proven go-to guy, kind of. I don't think Tyler Hero fits them, to be honest. Like, he doesn't play defense. He's not really a two-way guy. And you have 3 other dudes who are going to want to get their touches, who are going to want to score the ball a ton. And you're also competing for, like, the 6-man minutes with Victor Oladipo. So it is a competitive backcourt now. Tyler Hero is not a guaranteed thing. And I still think that Pat Riley and Heat fans everywhere are really shaking their heads at the reluctance to trade him for James Harden. Could you imagine how lethal this team would be? The best team in the league.
Yes.
It's mind-boggling to me. No, I do not think Tyler Hero. I don't think he'll be bad, but I don't think he's going to be taking the superstar leap anytime soon. I think this team has too much focus elsewhere. I don't think he's taking that leap.
Are they a dark horse for the Eastern Conference crown?
Absolutely. I think they are. I think that they're going to be alongside the Bulls for one of the most fastest pace of play teams in the league. They're going to be the best defensive team in the league. I've said this a million times.
Yes.
I think that they definitely have a shot. I mean, plus they have the mentality. I like them a lot.
Coach. They have a good coach. I mean, that's all you need. Okay, we are going to move off the topic of players, and we are going to go into NBA hot takes. This can be really about anything. We've been recording for about 15 minutes, so our episodes are usually 20. Let's finish it out with some hot takes for this NBA season. It's starting in a week. We're so pumped. What is your first hot take, or do you want me to start us off?
You can
Because
start. I need to think on that one.
okay. I think the Toronto Raptors are going to be a playoff team, and hear me out, okay? First of all, we've been over this multiple times. They were playing in Tampa Bay. They had to spend nights in hotels. We get that. They lost Kyle Lowry, okay, but I really like some of the pieces they picked up. A lot of them are similar in a way. Precious Achiuwa, Scotty Barnes, and OG, they're all really lanky defenders that can get buckets on the inside. OG's honestly a pretty good shooter for compared to when he came in the league. Gary Trent and Freddie, although Freddie efficiency was not very good last year, I think he could turn it around. I'm a believer in Freddie. Maybe a little overpaid, but if you give him the touches, I think he'll come a long way. Then you have Goran Dragic, who's going to be a solid six man. We know Goran; he's been good for a while. The only thing is Chris Boucher is hurt to begin the year, and I am a big Chris Boucher stan, so I think that could hurt him. But I think they could sneak him into play-in at least. And Nick Nurse, I think Nick Nurse is a good coach. I'll stand by it. Toronto Raptors will be a playoff team in 2021.
All right, that's interesting. I was thinking of one because I was thinking about this earlier. The Portland Trailblazers, man, I'm not a big fan. I know they just fired Terry Stotts. They brought in Chauncey Billups, rookie coach. His only prior coaching experience was last year with as an assistant coach with the Clippers. I'm going to say that the Blazers are a bubble playoff team, meaning I think that their highest, they could be the 8th seed. I'm not feeling too confident about them. Last year, bottom 3 team defensively. That really their entire game was offense. We know this. And they generated all of their offense almost exclusively through Damian Lillard. And I know people are saying, oh, they have CJ. Almost all of his looks were generated because of Damian Lillard. CJ is not a guy who really creates on his own. They didn't add that much this offseason. They lost Melo, huge L. They had Tony Snell, Quinn Cook, not really.
Dennis Smith Jr.
Dennis Smith Jr. That's another one for sure. Guys who aren't really big impact dudes, in my opinion, and their only really solid defenders are like Rocco and Nurk, and I don't think that's going to be doing a lot. This team is going to be on Dame's shoulders once again.
Yeah,
and I mean, right, and I mean we've talked about it. I mean, we've always gone over like Dame operates the pick and roll. He's probably the best pick and roll guard in the league. That works to a certain extent because outside of that, they really don't have much. I mean, besides like the occasional transition bucket or fast break bucket in the half court setting, at least under Terry Stotts, they were mostly a pick and roll team, which didn't always work. Even against a team like the Nuggets, they couldn't beat the Nuggets. Defensively, they couldn't beat the Nuggets. Yeah. That's scary. And they were supposedly the second best offense in the league. I'm not feeling too strongly about them. And the reason that I'm not feeling too great about them moving forward is because I think after this season, Dame's going to actually absolutely want out. I don't think he's going to want to play there anymore. They haven't done a good job surrounding him with talent. Let's just be honest.
That's Portland's fault. Dame's literally given them everything. So we've each given one hot take. We're going to do 3 totals, so 2 more. And I have one similar to Damian Lillard. I think this is Zion. This is going to be pretty hot. This is Zion Williamson's last year in New Orleans, and I'm going to explain why. First of all, New Orleans, I don't like what they've done in free agency. Lonzo Ball, who really fit Zion's play style, that he could get him fast break buckets. They got Devontae Graham and Tomas Satoransky. I don't like that, especially Tomas, who they got in the sign and trade with Lonzo. Willie Green's a first-year head coach, and I think if things don't go well in New Orleans, Zion's going to want out because it's been 3 years. He's had 3 different head coaches, Gentry, Van Gundy, and Willie Green. Zion, he's going to have to take the leap, and I don't think he can take the leap in New Orleans. I don't think he will. It's going to be similar to Anthony Davis. Someone is going to get him. I know it's bold, but Zion will not be a Pelican at the start of next year.
That's a fair take. I think to end off the video, if you want another one from me, I know you said 2 more, right?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm just going to go with this one. I don't know if it's a hot take, but I like to slander the Grizzlies. I'm going to go ahead and say that I think they'll contend for it, but the Grizzlies are a really tough team in my opinion because the Valanciunas trade, man, such an L move. They didn't really pick up a valuable asset with the 10th pick either. So
Zaire Williams, we don't.
Right. I don't know. I don't like what they're doing. I think Steven Adams really limits the dimensions of the court for them. And I don't from what it's looked like so far, I don't think Ja has really evolved as a scorer quite just yet, which I think is also holding the team back a lot. The lack of spacing, even though in the preseason they were shooting a lot of corner threes, which I kind of liked on the wing. Guys like D'Anthony Melton looked pretty good. Desmond
Bane.
Bane,
Yeah.
Desmond Bane, he's looked very good. But outside of that, I mean, they lost Grayson Allen, who was a big piece to their team. Really didn't add much else. They kind of subtracted a lot. So I'm not really feeling too good about the Grizzlies.
Yeah, that's a fair take. The Grizzlies, I've kind of liked the direction they were heading. It seems like they just did a full 360, which I really don't understand.
Mhm.
On my last one, and if you have one more, you can say it. But I think the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to be. They won't be a playoff team, but I think they're going to be super improved this year.
Mm.
Josh Giddey, who I was not a big fan of. First of all, amazing TikToks, Josh Giddey. We love you here.
Of course.
He's shown me a lot, honestly. Especially in the first preseason game, his playmaking was on full display. He's honestly pretty athletic compared to what I thought. Good ball handler. He's been working out in LA. I'm telling you, I've seen these TikToks. I'm confident in Josh Giddey. I'm confident in Shea. Lou Dort, the three pointer is insane compared to what it used to be in the bubble. They were literally leaving him wide open to shoot. Now he's a good shooter, at least from what I've seen in the preseason so far. Guys like Theo Maladone, Poku, they're gonna have room for development. I think they're gonna give them the keys, and I think they will be improved compared to last year, which was pretty bad. So I mean, it's not that hard. But OKC is going to be a very improved team. Mark my words.
Mm. That's a fair take. I'm not sure how far I think they're gonna go, but I mean, sky's the limit. I mean, it's a crazy league. We can say that much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. In terms of hot takes, man, I was thinking something about along the lines of the Mavericks, but I think they're just kind of going to be a
Yeah.
mid-tier playoff team.
Yeah.
Don't really have much to say about them or really anybody else. I feel like I'm just excited for the start of the season, man. That's all I know. That's my
I
hot
can't
take.
wait. We cannot wait. We're so excited. We're gonna keep giving you guys more content. We are on our grind. I'm telling you this. One day we will have an NBA player on this podcast. We have DM'd so many guys. One of them will get back to us. Mark our words.
For sure.
Hit the subscribe button. We're almost to 70 subscribers, 70% to 100. Thank you guys so much, and peace.